Heat Override, and I'm ready to bring the pain for you and Dr. Roto this week. This is episode 199. So it's only going to happen. You know it's going to happen when I record Bring the Pain this weekend. That's going to be my 200th episode of Bring the Pain. Oh, yeah. What is up, everybody? I hope everybody had a great week 9. It was kind of crazy. I had one kind of bad beat, but it wasn't that bad. It was just, things didn't go out my way in my seasonal team, but everything else went great for me. I dusted a dude by over 70 points after losing to a dude by 0.5 who only put up 50 points this week. This week was bad. Like, literally, in one of my leagues, I literally beat this dude down like 160 to 92. The rest of the league is like 103, 101, 115. 100, like 98 to 88. And then you get this one dude got like 200 and the other dude got, I think that was like the 50-point guy. It was just such a crazy, crazy week. And seeing the injuries go down. And then we got Carson Wentz to the Los Angeles Rams today. Yo, that's kind of funny, man. He was supposed to be the number 1 pick over Goff. The Rams didn't go that way. They went with Goff over Wentz. And it just kind of been fun. But let's get to it. Let's get to another hard hits and cool picks. Oh, yeah. For the week 10. So, review of last week, we had Nate Hobbs, cha-ching. We had Poyer, cha-ching. We had Kenneth Murray Jr., cha-ching. And then we had our boy CJ Mosley as the heat check of the week. Bam! Cha-ching. That is 4 wins again. That's not the only time I've been 4-0 for a week, man. If y'all following the hard hits and cool picks article and the heat overrides, heat check of the week. Oh man, and of course the heat check of the week is on my IDP heats of the week. That is why sometimes more than just podcasts, you also have to go to the website and read all of the great content. I set you up on the defensive side, and Doc and the team bring you in for the rest. Oh, yeah. Feel my energy. Dig it? Yeah. I know you can feel it. Even if you listen and you can feel it. Yeah. So let's get to it. The new week is out, and we are starting at the top. Linebacker, Blake Cashman. Cashman has been getting it done. 7% owned right now, right? And he has been consistent all season long. He is going to own it this week. And the thing is nobody is thinking about him. We still have bye weeks. We have injuries. I had Zaire Franklin go down. And what did your IDP guru do? He went and he picked up good old Trusty, good old Die. Oh, I'm not going to tell you. Oh, man. But, I went and I picked up my guy, and he scored me up another 12 points. So I pulled out. I had to pick up because I lost Mika Fitzpatrick the prior week. So, when I sat here and I go over these teams and I look at this, and okay, I'll let it. Levante David. I didn't want to say his name because sometimes, man, when I went against my old, I could have picked up, anybody. I could have picked up anybody. Alex Alazone, he's out there. All these players are out there. But the reason why I went with David is because right now he is on a tear and he is getting tons of tackles. And it was an easy plug and play so that I could definitely get in there. Sometimes it's nice to have upside. Upside's for offense sometimes, though. You're not going to have a Kenny Moore the second 2 pick sixes up like that. But hey, guess what? You could have found him on my last week's article. So there's always that, because he was on my second string on my hard hits and cool picks articles. So that, again, this is why you have to get to the website. This is why, because I didn't mention that. And I'm not going to mention players that are on my second string or all my other players that are on my IDP heats of the week. I don't need to. I mentioned the 4 that I talk about that I focus on that gets me the wins every single week, putting me at 30 wins, 3 losses, and 2 ties for an IDP hero status of the gods. And that's where it goes every single time when I am talking and I'm telling you to play these plays. I mean, play these plays for a reason. They aren't always going to work out, but outside of a couple benchings and not starts and a couple bad injuries or whatnot, I think I did pretty well for a lot of you this year. So we're going to keep this going, right? Blake Cashman. Hey, Yohid Override. What else you got? Well, we're going to go a cornerback. And this cornerback plays for the Chicago Bears. And his name is Tyreek Stevenson, right? You're just like, whoa, hey, Tyreek. Yes, he has been straight up consistent as all hell from the cornerback position. Okay. And when you look for a cornerback, sometimes your cornerbacks can get 0 tackles because they just don't get the ball thrown their way, or they're just not on that side of the field. It just happens, right? Well, this guy's getting in there. He's like a Nate Hobbs. Like when I pulled Nate Hobbs out on y'all last week, and I pulled out Jordan Poyer. I mean, that was pretty easy. Jordan Poyer was definitely going to fill in for Milano. And the previous week when we went Dorian Williams and he didn't even get to play, things like that happened. Poyer still was in that game, but it was this game that Poyer was going to be a beast. And we even talked about him in the subs only Discord. So that is another aspect that you get when you join drroto.com. You don't just get all the DFS and all the other sports. You get to go in the Discord and talk to us and see our bets, see our lineups, and put your teams together so that they can win and bring the pain to the competition. Yeah. So let's move along. Tyreek Stevenson, 8% owned right now. And nobody's looking at him. Nobody's looking at him. But if you have an injured quarterback, or in some leagues, you only get one linebacker, right? And you want somebody in a good position. I have been targeting the Chicago Bears all season, right? And in DFS recently as well, too. And it's for good reason. If anybody could have seen that TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds was going to be awesome. But with Jack Sanborn on too, and then, of course, man, this team is good. Now you have Stevenson. Right? Now you got Stevenson. And he's just a rookie. He's just a rookie, man. So these players all play. And I don't even have to mention Brisker, do I? I just gave you 4 IDP players that have been playing lights out all season when healthy. And even Sam. 5. And that is the key. So let's get to another linebacker, right? And then I'll do all my tackle props at the end. So, we got London Roberts, because the linebacker everybody literally is going to have and go get is Quan Alexander. And don't even say, I know that there's somebody listening to this podcast or watching my eyes stare deep into their soul. Yeah. And rise the cream to the crop. That I know that you already went and picked up Quan Alexander. He's going to have an extended role. But why do you think he's only been getting 2 tackles every game for like the past few games, right? He's just not in the right place. This is why people have moved on from him. He's a great backup. And now that he's in there, that is a weak point for the Steelers. But the Steelers easily will exploit that. And they will exploit it by running London Roberts out there a lot more. And he is 1% owned. One. I can say it louder, but 1% owned. Okay. And the fact is he's been consistent. He has been so consistent recently. So if we go look at this right now, and you thinking, well, what does Landon Roberts have done? Because I don't really know who this dude is. You don't? Well, guess my wife is a Steelers fan. I watch a lot of football games. That is actually how I get all of my IDP plays as well, too. You have to watch the game. You can look at all the numbers, but unless you watch a game or you listen to a game on the radio or do both like we do in this household, you won't get the full effect, man. And I know people say it's an eyeball test. It works. It works. You see other things. Just because somebody doesn't have a lot of tackles in one game, you see how close they are to the ball. That doesn't mean that they can't have a good game. When that opportunity exists and presents itself, that is what puts you in the wheelhouse of playing that player at that right point, right? So, man, 48 tackles on the season, off 9 tackles his previous game, 5 tackles. He had 1.5 sacks. What are we talking about here, right? Previous game, 3. Of course, it just was a game, man. He had it. That's not the game I told you to pick him up or play him. But now that our guy, unfortunately, Cole Holcomb is down, man, Roto, Holcomb, these were my sleepers this year. Now that he is down, you have an opportunity at 1% owned to go grab him and laugh at every Quan Alexander person that picks him up. Does Quan outplay him? Maybe, but he hasn't this far in the season. So the more dominant player, the better player at this stage of their career is going to make their stamp, bang, bring the pain on their stuff. The Steelers are going to be happy to get this man some reps. It's unfortunate that they did have to lose such a really good guy in Holcomb. He was putting it out for you guys. But they'll move on. Let's get to it. Oh, yeah. I got a little thing, right? So I saw a question on the X. The X. Feel the energy, X. And somebody was like, hey, I got seven linebackers, start 5, right? He even tagged the dude he was playing it. So people are giving in. It's pretty obvious who's starting. But, you know, at the same time, I've seen little hate going for like Devin White. And I'm like, okay. And somebody brought up a very good point that I actually have covered on my Bring the Pains in all my podcasts. And that is stacking IDP players. That is more than just stacking 2 linebackers together or 2 linebackers, a corner, and the safety together. You're saying you're grabbing too much of the defense. If any of those players goes overboard on their tackles, they're taking from the other players. That is true. But there's also things called assisted tackles. And when both of those players get in a tackle, that is double the points. See what I'm saying? So stacking IDP players is good. Yes. Let's look at what Devondre Campbell did last week. He was I was in a thing and I told one of our subs to start Devondre Campbell over Poyer, which Poyer ended up having a few more points than him. And that's fine. That's just what happens sometimes. And Poyer was in a great spot, right? So that's why he was highlighted. But Campbell was playing the Rams. And the Rams were running in there with their backup. And I knew some bad shit was going to happen. So that being said, what ended up actually happening was Campbell got a fumble recovered. And that right there is saying that I knew that he was going to be in the right position at the right time. Goes the same if you're stacking 2 linebackers. If Patrick Queen forces a fumble and Roquan Smith picks up that fumble, you get double the points, right? If they both make that tackle, get credit for the tackle, and then get the forced fumble and the fumble recovery for touchdown, you get those points as well. That is why stacking IDP is just as important as stacking a quarterback with a wide receiver a lot of people do, and running backs and tight ends in DFS. It's the same concept. It's the same. You're pulling. If you know that how is DJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds and putting up all these tackle totals for the whole season? How's Eric Kendricks and Kenneth Murray consistently surviving, right? We're not talking about 2 or 3 linebackers that are getting 2 or 3 tackles each. We're talking about one of the linebackers going for 14 to 15 points, or maybe 10 or 11, 12 tackles. And the other linebacker also getting 9, 10, 11 tackles too. Why are you going to another team when you know that this team is clearly in a spot to actually lay the smacketh down? If you smell the IDP points, heat override is cooking. Ooh, yeah. Get the Dr. Roto. Get all your waiver wire stuff. Get all of your information. Get ready for the 200th episode of Bring the Pain. And as always, may the tackles be with you. Yeah.